What's the reason why so many of us end up with the wrong person? What's the reason why so many of us end up with the wrong person? With that extended yarn you doing, that's contagious, brother. Don't be doing that. It's too early for that, man. It's too early, man.
My bad.
You got actual age, man. Come on now.
Nope.
A lot of times we really take the most high out of relationship, and that we don't be treating people like they belong to God for real. We treat them like they belong to us immediately. So it's like I get this very valuable person that's making me feel certain things, and the first thing I want to do is capture that and possess that, as opposed to turning to the power that I serve and saying, what I'm supposed to do with this. You don't put something in my life that's valuable.
Yeah.
What do I do? Like
It's
before
no
I
difference
touch
if you
it,
babysitting somebody's
before
kid.
you feel me, like this
Call they
person
parent.
not mine. You feel me? So it's like before, is this supposed to be a business partner? Is this supposed to be my homegirl?
Right.
Because what she hitting in me, it ain't making sense, bruh. And the last time we came around to this, I kind of did some. Like, it's what am I supposed to be doing here? And that's where we get corrected. And I do believe that there should be some accountability in that regard, where like, all right, I have a tendency to choose my feelings over the facts, or I have a tendency to roll with the vibes before I figure out what's going on. But I don't think like accountability always has to be this harsh. You fucked up, like you're a bad decision maker. You feel me?
Yeah,
But
yeah,
because accountability not necessarily failure. It's acknowledgement and working with the facts.
All right, let's go ahead and deep dive into this. What's the reason why so many of us end up with the wrong person? We're going to start with you first, Clout. What are your thoughts about that?
I would say part of the reason why people end up with the wrong person is simply the idea of the quote unquote right person. You know, like I think that people create these ideals in their mind, and in chasing that ideal, they end up ignoring realities and things that are happening in the real world. So I think it's as simple as that. I think that by eliminating this idea in our minds of like this the one or this supposedly right person, then you can actually find the best suited person for you, as opposed to the right one. You know.
All right. Trigger Mike. Now you taking notes. I'm going to come back to you. Go ahead. I see you note taking. Let me go ahead and go to Humble Dad. What's the reason why so many of us end up with the wrong person? And I'm going to go to Luis next.
Because they're not looking for the right person. I mean, they, you know, if the culture that we living in is not about marriage, it's about who can I get next? What can I get from somebody else? You know, bring a kid into the world, and now he's a deadbeat. She's a unfit mother. They don't want to be together no more, or they didn't plan to being together in the first place. You know, in my estimation, you know, because they are not connected to Christ in a legitimate way. That's why I think they end up with the wrong person, because they, as the scripture says, being unequally yoked is a big deal. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's even out of the context, if you don't believe in scripture, if you are not looking to be married, then you're going to end up with the wrong person, and then you don't make your intentions known. I mean, so many things you can go with it, but in overall, I would say they're not looking for the right person. That's why they won't get the right person.
All right. So Humble Dad kind of touched on it. He said a quote. I noticed the guy said a lot of people don't turn to the higher up as far as when it comes to choosing a mate. I would like for some of the Christians or whatever your religious belief may be on the panel to kind of add that into your perspective if you can. Go ahead, Luis.
Yeah, you know, why people end up with the wrong person. I would say is that, you know, Humble Dad did a really good job starting off. You know, a lot of people are looking for Mr. Right Now, Mr. or Mrs. Right Now, as opposed to the right person. You know what I'm saying? And I think what people get stuck at is that they pick up those bad habits and those bad attributes from that person. You know what I'm saying? That's not well aligned with them, right? Like, how often have people come across the right person who came into their life at a particular time or season, but they just wasn't ready and they messed up the relationship, whether it's the woman or the man, like they showed up in a particular type of way and they were very consistent. and they messed it up. You know what I'm saying? People talk about not finding the right person, but the right person did come along at some point, and you know, scared them away, moved them away, right? And sort of you lost that kind of opportunity. And, you know, in life, sometimes, you know, lightning doesn't strike in the same place twice. As far as the religious context, you know, whether you're spiritual, Christian, whatever doctrine you prescribe to, I think that the person that you hope to align with also has that same faith-based belief, because I think that when you both tap into that, that allows you both to kind of find strength in each other. A lot of people will find people out here who don't have a religious base and are sort of just, you know, shooting in the dark, and they're trying to align with someone that really doesn't belong in their life. You know, you're trying to fit a square peg into a round hole, and you know, you'll find a lot more regret and discontent as time goes by because of the choices that you made.
So,
Oh, my bad. I was asking Sir here. I was on mute. My apology. But you can go, Shan. I mean, it's up to you, brothers. Have y'all want to settle it?
listen, the reason why I like it when you ask questions that I've done a show on already. The reason why people end up with the wrong people. It's 4 main reasons. 1, the fear of being alone. A lot of people are scared of just being alone, and they look at, you know, they listen to songs like Drake and talking about, you know, even my mother said, who wants to be 70 and alone? We're afraid of being alone. You know how many people said, hey, if we don't get married by 30, let's marry each other, to their friends in college? Oh, gotta be married by 30 or let's marry each other. I did that. I said that to a friend of mine. Another one is because they think love is enough. A lot of people think just love is enough. Happiness. As long as I'm happy, we good. And that's why they end up with the wrong person, because they place their happiness in somebody else's hands. Boy, oh boy, that's a mistake that I made as well. Another one is a lot of people do not know what they need. They know what they want. They know what makes them feel good. But they don't know what they actually need for lifelong, long-term success. And the other reason is because a lot of people, man, they just have there's a lot, you know, I don't think it is any of us on this panel, and probably not many people in the chat, but outside of us here on King Talk, on the panel and in the chat, the rest of the world, there's a lot of people with low self-esteem, and people just simply don't think that they deserve better. So they, you know, we talk about settling, but there's a lot of people who just say, fuck it. You like me enough that you'll marry me? All right, cool, I'll marry you. And they just settle for that. And then, of course, there's always the extra piece that I talk about. We don't pay attention to the red flags early enough. If only we paid attention to the red flags early, how much time would we save? But to be honest with you, the reason why people end up with the wrong people is because they fear being alone. They think that love is enough. They don't know what they need. And a lot of people just don't think that they deserve any better. Go ahead, Sir Hill.
That was dope. I want to let that sink. That was dope. I want to go on a different side of this. I talk to a lot of people. You know, like people call me when they going through the worst of relationship issues. I mean, I'm like, you could have called me when it was starting to get to y'all getting ready to go to the courthouse. Now y'all want to call me, right? So here's what I noticed. Sometimes we make people the wrong people. Like we damage them to a degree. We abuse their trust. We neglect them. We take them for granted. And after so long, they turn into a version of a person we no longer like. And I don't think a lot of us take inventory of the person's experience with us. I think we just assume that we know who we are, and we assume how we come off to them. But a lot of people who say, like women say, I'm with the wrong man. Well, did you invest in him? Like for real. Did you give him the best version of you as a woman? Did he ever get the best version of you? Did he ever get the love and the respect from you in a way that if you were videotaped, you would be someone that we could learn from in a classroom? Most men have never gotten that before. So over time, that man becomes a version of himself from having his needs unmet. You no longer like him and he looks like the wrong person, but you created this wrong person. The same thing with having a good woman. Like a lot of men, we cheat on our women, we abuse them, we neglect them, and neglect is the inverse, the opposite form of abuse. It's still a form of abuse, right? We neglect them, we don't invest in our women, we don't understand when they're exhausted, we don't appreciate them, and then when she becomes a version of herself that we don't like, now you're with the wrong person. Well, no, sir, she's not the wrong person. It's like you want the return on an investment you didn't make in her, right? Like, so after 10 years, you were expecting her to be this version of a woman. You didn't invest in her that way. And I think that's why people now, so you throw faith on that. I think people sometimes use faith as a crutch to avoid the practical stuff, right? You can't, it's not enough to pray for me. You got to treat me right? It's not enough to say we equally yoked. You got to treat me like we're equally yoked. You know what I mean? It's not enough to say I love you. You got to show me you love me. So I think that's what it is. I think a lot of us, we end up with the wrong person because we made them the wrong person by not investing in them the way that they need it.
Hey, Sir Hill, what does Lex Luthor, the Joker, what's that character with the mask, Bane, what do they have in common?
They were neglected.
Typically, whenever anybody that pays attention to comics, and I don't really pay attention to comics, but I am a filmmaker. Our villains were people that was created to be a villain. Most bad, and that happens in relationships a lot. And think about it. Think about the young to what Sir Hale just said. Think about the young brother who got passed up by so many girls in his 20s that he became that. Then he got his shit together. He got in the gym. He got his money up. Now he's 35, and now he's just slashing all of them across the city because a lot of people say women then turn him into a villain. He wanted to be a good guy. He wanted to be a hero. He wanted to be part of the Justice League, but he got dejected or he got turned down. And now, he's a fucking villain in the movie. And now he doesn't care about anybody else. He's slaying and killing everybody across the city. Some people do, like Sir Hale said, turn people into villains. Some of the people that's listening to me are now villains because they was created into being one by the last relationship that they were in. That was a good one, Sir Hale.
All right, go ahead, Sweeney.
What's the reason why so many people wind up with the wrong person? I have a few things here. One, I think people tend to be impulsive. They make a lot of decisions just on impulse alone. I think a lot of people tend to be also self-absorbed. They tend to think that there's nothing wrong with them. So they go into these relationships. They think nothing's wrong with them, and that they're the perfect one. And then they look at their partners and be like, there's something wrong with that person. And then also, I don't think a lot of people value the information of others. So I think Shannon was talking about how a lot of people ignore the red flags. But from what I gather, I think a lot of people are told the red flags from other people. Hey, you need to watch out for that guy. Or, hey, you need to watch out for that girl. Hey, you know that she did this or whatever. Or if you go and you value, or if you value the information of others, you may go to other people and be like, you may bring them around other people and say, hey, you know what I mean? Like young girls bringing their boyfriends home to their fathers. Hey, dad, this is my boyfriend, such and such. And you let him analyze him, and then he can tell you some things. And if you value what that person says, you will start to notice a lot of things that make you be like, okay, maybe that's not the right person for me. But I don't think most of us value the information of others. I think we tend to hear what other people have to say. Like, man, I don't care what you got to say. This is who I want to be with. So I would say, yep, impulsive. We make impulsive decisions. We're self-absorbed, where we tend to be think that we're perfect or we're above, and then also we don't value the information of others. But I want to throw a curveball at y'all. If relationships tend to be reflective, are these people really with the wrong person at that time?
If it's not about marriage, in my opinion, yes. Like, you should be trying to get married, bro. You know what I'm saying? Because it's better for your kids, right? So this, I was with this person, and now I can reflect on who I am. They was here for a moment. I mean, no, you wasting people's time. You know what I'm saying? So that's my thought process on it.
Yeah, so that's it. That's a profound question, Sweeney, because relationships are reflective, but reflections change. And I think that that's a problem that so many people have. You end up with somebody and you guys stop growing together. And did you guys watch this series called This Is Us? It came on NBC some time ago.
Heard of it, didn't watch it, but I heard of it.
Yeah, it was a really good show. One of the things on there, I think it was Toby and Kate. So Toby and Kate both were extremely overweight, and they ended up meeting at this particular workout class. He falls in love with her. She falls in love with him. Over time, they end up getting married, having some kids. Well, as the marriage progressed, Toby loses a lot of weight. And in terms of losing a lot of weight, he becomes a different personality. Like, he gets a new job. I mean, this dude levels up all the way. So he becomes a version that Kate doesn't love anymore. I think that's what happens in so many cases. People meet you at one phase of your life, and if you grow and you become something different than what they fell in love with, I think that's where problems come in. Most people don't grow together, and I think that's a huge problem. So if marriages and relationships are going to be successful, you got to be with somebody that you don't just get satisfied with who they are now, but you love them. And even if that means you guys grow and become something different, you're not falling in love with a version of them. You're falling in love with them. So no matter what version of them they are, you still rocking with them.
Yeah. And
So
I guess that's why people say they grew apart. That's like everybody's favorite thing to say.
Exactly. Yep.
So one person is reaping and the other person is sowing.